Our intro music is provided by Kevin MacLeod at Incompetech.com.
The views, opinions, and representations expressed on the Night Dreams Talk Radio Network and its website are those of the hosts, guests, and participants, and are not necessarily those of or endorsed by the network, its affiliated stations and broadcasts, the management, other hosts, or advertisers of the network. The shows found on the Night Dreams Talk Radio Network can, but do not necessarily, promote any particular lifestyle, belief, religion, political affiliation, or other personal practice. These shows are for entertainment purposes only, and are not intended to treat, diagnose, and or claim any cure of disease or condition, or give any medical or legal advice.
Check out Night Dreams' website at www.nightdreamstalkradio.com.
Your Saturday paranormal psychic and ghost hunter on Night Dreams Talk Radio Network, James Creachbaum.
Hello, everyone. I hope you're having a great Saturday night. I'm going to have a great Saturday night. And before I introduce my guests, I just want to talk about a couple things that happened this week in some paranormal news. Number one, there was a couple booms, or a big boom down in Kentucky, heard from 3 counties. Now, they don't know what it is, where it come from, and it could be paranormal. They don't know. Kind of on a similar scale, another boom was heard in West Virginia. They think it's Old Thumper. Spirit of Old Thumper, a village that's under a lake in West Virginia. Some food for thought. One more little tidbit. Flying monkey with wings in Gary, Indiana, spotted twice. They're not in Kansas no more. No. Is it paranormal, Mothman, or maybe it's just a big fox bat? Who knows? What's your thoughts? Anyway, without further ado, let me introduce my guest, Ericka Boussarhane. I know I butchered the last name. How you doing, Ericka? Tell us a little bit about yourself. Ericka, are you there?
Hey, yeah.
Hey.
No,
Sorry.
I'm a psychic medium in Pensacola, Florida, and my website is called kpsychic.com. I do mediumship readings, crime readings, financial readings, relationship readings, and, I like to talk to dead people.
Well, you do all kind of readings, and I know I butchered your last name. Please pronounce your whole name so people know. Go ahead.
So I pronounce my last name Boussarhane. It can be pronounced Boussarhane as well. It is of Moroccan descent. So it's kind of got that Moroccan, African, French thing going on.
It is kind of different. So let's get right into it. When did you realize, at what age did you realize that you were a little different than the other kids?
A little different. I think about, what I recall is about 7, having some experiences, seeing dead people and, like making that go away because I didn't want to. But I'd say around that time is when I remember. I'm sure it's been before that. I just probably blocked it out.
Right. Now, was they imaginary friends? Did your parents think they were imaginary friends, or how did you explain that to your parents?
No, intuition and the dead people thing and the extra people that are in the house have run in the family with me. So, I think I kind of kept it to myself most of the time, but my grandmother and I would talk about spirits, and my mom was all into, seeing things and having intuition and sensing when people would die. So it's kind of like a thing that was never really shown in the family. It was kind of commonplace.
So you had more or less a pretty good support system with your parents.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. All right. So then as you got a little bit older, how did you develop your abilities, or, what happened as you got older through the years?
As I got older, I just kind of basically started working with trying to find, crimes, solve cases or crimes or locate bodies, or try to find out how to, challenge myself the most on certain things. And so I kind of started taking psychic development from Sandy Anna Stacy, who was John Edwards' teacher, because I wanted to be like a female version of John Edwards. And so basically I kind of learned, any and everything I could online to kind of enhance and heighten what I do.
Right. And now, who was your, as far as that goes, who was your biggest kind of inspiration toward learning things, or somebody you looked up to?
I'd probably still say John Edwards. Sylvia Brown as well. I love to watch her on Montel, and I love to watch John Edwards. Loved Lisa Williams later on, and James Van Prague, obviously, too. So, I kind of loved all of them. And then I also love the little lady in town who, didn't have the big TV show, but she was just as equally as, gifted. So I kind of like all of that.
Wow. That's great. Now, did you ever, any investigative teams ever contact you and say, hey, would you like to come out and help us or do some investigating or give us some insight or use you as a tool, so to speak?
Yeah, I worked with a lot of paranormal teams, and I still do. Like, they'll have me scan a house from my location. I've worked with local ones here, some in New Orleans, just all over. I mean, I traveled in phenomenology, used to do events every weekend, so we were doing ghost hunting.
Oh, wow. So, have you ever come across some really stuff that, you really didn't like to come across in a house a few times, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, there are times that I would see, like, bad stuff with red eyes and all that other stuff, too.
Lord.
But I try to stay in the positive vibes. So I try not to really deal with anything that's demonic or negative, because I don't vibe like that.
Right. Listen, I hear you. I don't vibe like that either. But sometimes, it's just there, I guess, But so, what's your views on people that are investigating? Is there good ones, bad ones, or do you have an opinion on that either way?
Well, as far as the demonic?
No, I'm just meaning as far as teams investigating and how they do it and how they go about it and stuff. That's what I was trying.
Yeah, I think having skepticism is important, and basically, listening to the client or the home and taking all accounts, but then have a scientific kind of perspective so that you can really try to debunk or show that there's something else. But if there's really a haunting or something really valid, I think it's really good to do what you can to make sure that you get the word out and educate people, because our loved ones do communicate with us. They definitely do. Right.
Now, have you ever been to, like, say you were investigating and while you were there, maybe a loved one from somebody on the team that's investigating showed up and wanted to say something to one of your teammates? Has that ever happened?
Yeah, I was in Fort Morgan at a, and this girl, she was one of the paranormal investigators, and her grandfather that she didn't even want to talk to because for reasons I can't even discuss. He showed up. He was sitting on top of the fort with his legs hanging down, and I said, "Oh my God, your granddad is up there looking at me." And she's like, "I don't want to talk to him," but we ended up talking to him, and I told her what he said. And she was able to get closure and forgive him for some things he shouldn't have done when she was little, and it healed her a lot. So, yeah, that does happen.
Wow, and you know what? It probably helped her grandfather on the other side get closure also. And
for sure.
Wow.
Yeah,
so, have you ever? Did you ever follow up with that, or was that pretty much the end of that?
No, she's reached out to me a couple times, and she always reminds me of that situation and how it has changed and helped her life and helped her heal.
That's amazing. Wow. So, like, when that happened, was it like during investigation, or was it kind of like after? Or how did it kind of unfold?
It was like we were sitting there waiting, I think, just kind of get started, and all of a sudden I looked up and I saw this man who wasn't of, like, the fort. I mean, he wasn't like a soldier. He was just a regular guy. He was sitting up there with his legs dangling, and I was like, well, who are you? What do you want? And that's when he said, I'm her grandfather, and she doesn't want to talk to me. I was like, well, why not? And then he showed me, and I said, oh, I wouldn't want to talk to you either. And then it just turned into something really, healing.
Wow, that's amazing. So you must have, In your travels, when you do your things, you must have a few scenarios like that. Like you just walk down the street and maybe a stranger's relative will come up and say, hey, has that ever happened to you before?
Yeah, I was in a store today, honestly, and this girl walked in, and I was in there trying to buy some pens. She walked in, and her dad started talking to me, and then I checked in on Facebook at this store, and I was like, well, when your owner finds out who I am and what I do, she might freak out. And then the girl says, well, what do you do? And I said, I'm a medium. And so the girl came in, and she's like, oh, you're a medium? That's so cool. And I said, well, yeah, because your dad is, talking to me. And I was telling her, your dad, da-da-da-da-da. And she started crying because her dad was dead, and she needed that. So it happens to me everywhere I go, but I try not to impose it on people. I think that's wrong.
Right. No, I get what you're saying. I was just curious if you ever, well, that brings me to my next question. You ever been to a place where there were so many spirits that just kind of overwhelmed you? Has that ever happened to you?
Walmart.
Oh, the old Walmart, I tell you, Walmart.
Walmart. Oh, it's just crazy.
Walmart.
Yeah, it's like people think that they're only in the cemetery. Shoot, they're in Walmart. They're any place you go, but for some reason they hang out in Walmart.
It's funny you say that because I have to agree with you. That's something about Walmart. There's more spirits there than you think. Wow. Whew. So now I read also you've helped law enforcement throughout your life too. Tell us a little bit about that.
Say that one more time.
You've helped law enforcement find with some cases or something along those lines. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, here locally in the area where I live, I've worked with law enforcement to find a body, and over the internet I've done it. I've worked on some cases with family, for free. I never charge, and if they wanted to know maybe how a loved one passed, I do that here in town, and also do that over the phone. Sometimes people just they don't need to know who saw it. It's not about who saw it or who did it. It's just how I just recently had a lady who came in. She had someone in Mexico that was missing and then went dead, and she just kind of wanted to know, what happened, and so I was able to kind of be told what to tell her, and so it brought closure to her. It helped her kind of accept, because, of course, Mexico wasn't telling her the truth, and they didn't really know.
Wow. So let me ask you this. Have you ever helped law enforcement try to find a missing person but didn't know they were passed or not, and then you find out they had passed? How's that far as conveying that to the family members? That's got to be rough, I would think, wouldn't it?
Well, I'm real careful with that because a lot of times I don't want a person to not have hope. But usually for me, if I focus on someone, I can kind of tell if they're alive or dead, and I just go from there. But I haven't been in a situation where, I said, okay, someone is alive and then they're dead. But I've been in situations where a family member might think that they're alive and they're probably passed. But I won't necessarily say, okay, until I'm 100% sure I've got enough validation to validate that. Because I don't want to take hope from anybody. I wouldn't want anybody to take hope from me either.